Before this video starts, I would just like to address that me and my dog are dressed the exact same today. That was a happy accident, but I've officially became that weird pet person who, you know, he's not very stoked about it. What are your thoughts on this, Zero? What's up, YouTube? I am back. Today I wanted to talk about something that absolutely gets on my last nerves. It is, oh god, it drives me crazy. And that is the way Hollywood portrays being with someone who is sick. They like to make it look like being with someone who has a chronic illness or a terminal illness is this beautiful, enlightening experience, and you get to say bye to them, and you're going to have all these magical adventures. That's not how it works. Sure, I'll get people responding to this video saying, I found my dream man, and we've been living out this Hollywood wonderful fantasy life, and he's the love of my life, she's the love of my life, blah, 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 blah. Congratulations! I'm not talking to you. There's going to be plenty of people who have found these great, romantic, wonderful experiences and found that person where they've lived out kind of a fairy tale book life, but in a lot of times that doesn't happen. And that's what I'm addressing today. The realities of being with someone with a chronic illness. Just running over five facts about having a chronic illness and what they don't show you in the movies and what they don't write down in the books. I know what it's like firsthand to have someone be with you just because you're sick. And I know a lot of people may think about that and they're like, no one would actually do that. But they do. People see you having an illness and they want to be with you just because of that, because of the way it's going to make them look in the eyes of the public, for their popularity. They want that headline of girl proposes to guy on his deathbed, or couple gets married with a guy with cystic fibrosis on his deathbed. And you may think that's being extreme and I'm exaggerating about these things, but I'm not. That's what people want. They thrive off the attention. They want to use you to make themselves feel better as a person, and so everyone will look at them like, oh, she's with a guy with an illness, how sweet. You know, Hollywood doesn't help with that at all. Everyone wants to have their own Fault in Our Stars, or their own Walk to Remember, or, you know, or even the TV shows that come on, Red Band Society and Grey's Anatomy. They all glorify and you know, romanticize the idea of being sick, and it's not. Being sick is not something beautiful. Being sick is not something, you know, that's gonna have a happy ending. For all you people out there looking for your own Augustus Waters or Hazel Grace and wanting to have this, you know, this happy ending, and you know, you both pass away in this grand fashion with people reading your early eulogies, well, I have an unfortunate thing to tell you. That's not how it goes. So, I'm going to give 5 facts about dating someone with an illness that you need to remember. Fact number 1. Chronic means it's not getting better. It will always be there. It's not going away. I think that's one of the biggest things. People will come and visit you in the hospital, and you know, they think that maybe it's going to be a hospital trip or two and it's not really going to be that big of a deal. But we're not getting better. Cystic fibrosis in me is not going to go away. Granted, you know, if I don't get hit by a bus or something dramatic like that, CF is going to kill me. And I've accepted that. And as I get older, it's only going to get worse. The hospital visits are going to increase. The antibiotics are going to increase. Everything, as you get older, when you have a chronic progressive illness or a terminal illness, it doesn't get better. And I think a lot of people get into these relationships and it overwhelms them, which isn't their fault. You know, you can't prepare someone for being with someone with an illness. It's just something you have to go through. But I think a lot of people jump into this and they're like, oh, you know, I can handle that. But then they see, you know, as it progresses and as you get worse, the things the movies don't show them, they start seeing and they get scared and they bail. Number 2. You have to become the backbone for that person. And you know, us people with illnesses, people with cystic fibrosis, cancer, anything like that, we're very strong individuals and we can handle ourselves, but it takes a toll on us between losing people we care about to the disease or just the overall fact that we're dying from the inside and can't help it. We're gonna break down a lot, and it just happens. And I think that's another thing. People don't realize that they are going to have to be the support in the relationship. And I think it's harder for a guy with an illness, and that's not to say it doesn't happen to girls too, because I know it does. But I think it's harder for a girl to accept the fact of being the backbone and having to support a guy who's getting sick, because it's supposed to be the guy's role in a relationship to, you know, be the caregiver, be the provider and all that. And when a girl is having to help a guy get out of bed, or, you know, give him a bath because he gets so sick, they're not prepared for that. And they're just like, do I really want my life to be like this? Number 3, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. It is not glamorous. It is not anything magical having an illness. In these movies, you know, you may see them with a with oxygen tubing in their nose, or you may see them laying in a hospital bed or something like that. But these movies and these Hollywood dramas, they don't prepare you for really what goes into an illness. They don't show you all the ins and the outs. They just think, you know, oh, they go in the hospital for a couple spurts and then they're back to their romantic lives. That's not how it goes. They're not going to show you all this. They're not going to show you the 60 to 100 pills that someone with a terminal illness or chronic illness has to take every day. Why would they do that? That's not romantic enough. That's kind of a burden. That's kind of inconvenient. So why would Hollywood show these things? They're not going to show waking up at 4 a.m. in a coughing spell and snot shooting out of your nose, mucus going everywhere, gasping for air, because, yet again, that's a little too gross. That's a little too reality for Hollywood. Why would they show that? Why not just skip to the part where they're laying in a hospital bed looking all peaceful with an oxygen tube in, with the guy sitting there holding her hand or she holding his hand, and then they have a really emotional conversation about their life and their love? That's more Hollywood. That's more acceptable. They're not going to show you this. And yes, I know I sound like a robot right now, but they're not going to show you that because this is funny. It's kind of embarrassing. This doesn't lend to a Hollywood fantasy of what being someone who's sick is. You know, I'm hooked to this machine probably more than I'm not. It's pretty much fills up half of my day. You know, every day is this. Sitting here, inhaling this, with this on. And, you know, they're not going to show that because, you know what? This isn't glamorous enough. This is too reality for Hollywood movies. They're damn sure not going to show that. Why would they ever show something like that? No one wants to hear that. No one wants to see that. I can tell you another thing they're not going to show. They're not going to show you these. And what is this, you may ask? That is, let's see, $26,282.96 for my last hospital visit. So yeah. They're not going to show that. Why would they show going broke, paying for the medications that keep you alive? Why would they ever show something like that? That's not Hollywood enough. That doesn't add to the romantic fantasy. Number 4, they're not going to show you what dying's really like. These movies, they cover it as you're going to get to sit there and hold the person's hand, and it's going to be some slow, peaceful passing, and that's not how it is at all. When you have a chronic illness or a terminal illness, it's hell. You're usually sedated. You usually don't even know what's going on around you. You have a trach in your throat, so you can't even say any last words to someone, or you're on a ventilator, and it's not the Hollywood image that everyone thinks. It's not something beautiful when you die. It is horrible. Dying with an illness like cystic fibrosis is hell, and I've watched so many of my friends go through it. And there's never been an instance where, you know, it's beautiful. You die with your body withered away into nothing. You lose so much weight. Your body's bruised from the constant needles and your veins blowing, and you have needles and tubes coming out of your neck and every major artery of your body. But they're not going to show that in Hollywood because that, yet again, it doesn't add to the fantasy that everyone wants. That they don't want that in the movies or the TV shows. They don't want to really show the reality of how these sicknesses end. Number 5. Being with someone with an illness is never going to be easy. You know, it's not an easy path to go. So I mean, if you get with someone who has an illness and you can't accept it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being overwhelmed and just not being able to emotionally or mentally take it. Our parents, they're put into this world against their will. We're put into this world against our will. And family are put into it against their will. But but other people, when they come from the outside, you have a choice. So if you get with someone and you think you just can't do it, tell them from the jump. Don't wait. Don't wait for some headline. Don't wait until if they're dying, don't feel like, oh, I can't tell this person that I don't want to be with them right now because they may not have that much longer. We don't want that. We would much rather you tell us from the jump and we still be friends and all that than us get very involved emotionally and then you come out 6 months down the road with, oh, I just can't do this. Because like I said, it's not pretty. It's not glorious. It's not the Fault in Our Stars that you want. It's not the Walk to Remember that you want. It's not Red Band Society with a bunch of patients going around causing mischief with each other. It is laying in a hospital bed, usually out of your mind, just trying your best to hold on and be strong for the person, for you guys, for the people coming from the outside. And if you can't take that, if you can't be strong enough for that, that's okay. I think there's so many people that get into these relationships and they don't want to leave just for that fact, but it's okay to admit that you're not strong enough to deal with this. It's just better if you tell from the jump. The thing about having an illness is it does help you weed out who is and is not really going to be with you through it all. We don't want your sympathy. We don't want you there because you feel bad. Treat us normal, but just know what comes with the territory. That yes, eventually, if nothing else happens, you will have to say bye to us because of these illnesses. And that's a fact that we have to accept. And you may think it's hard, but just imagine being in our shoes. Just imagine coming to terms with that at possibly an early age, as a lot of us have had to do. The whole point of this video is if you're going to get with someone who has an illness, really think it through. Don't look at these movies, don't look at these TV shows, or don't read these books with all this crap filled in it. It's not going to be some romantic, wonderful journey. When it comes to it having a chronic illness, there is not a happy ending. Yes, there's going to be very high moments. There's going to be wonderful, joy-filled moments, but there's going to be a lot of very hard moments and heartbreaking moments and gory moments and just disgusting moments. Then they're probably going to outweigh the good moments. And you really need to ask yourself if you're prepared for that, if you're strong enough for that. And if you're not, like I said, if you're not, it's okay. But don't get into something with someone looking for personal gain. Don't get into it for the headlines. Don't get into it because you feel bad. Get into it because your heart is there. If you get into a relationship with someone and then you bail out later because you just can't take it, but you're still in love with us, no, you never loved us in the first place. That's all I got today, though. Thank you guys again for watching, and I always want to hear your opinions about it, whether it be through Facebook or any social media, or just comment below. I love debating these topics or talking about them, and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. The things that I've ran over of people getting with them and then bailing, and share your story below if it's happened to you, and you want to share what what it's like being sick and your fairy tale ending not working out. Let people know. There needs to be more of a light shined on illnesses that are more based around facts, more based around the reality of it, not these over dramatized, romanticized crap that's being fed, because that's not what having an illness is. Again, I love talking to all of you on social media or anywhere, so make sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have all the links listed at the bottom, and I get a lot of messages per day, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, thank you guys for watching, and take care.